Hi, I'm Charlie. I am a certified nutritionist and a women's health coach. And I'm really pleased to have you here in my Facebook group. I think this is a really important topic and definitely something that I find a lot of clients really struggle with. So, to give you a little bit of background about me, I've got 5 years of nutrition and women's health online coaching experience. My goal is to support mums navigate fat loss, to really feel empowered about their health and get results, particularly without missing out on family time, feeling they've got to restrict their favorite foods, emptying the cupboards of all those things you really love, or spending hours in the gym because who's got time? Let's be honest. So let's get started because this is absolutely key to why we snack. Let's start with a definition of comfort eating. So, comfort eating is also known as emotional eating. It's a behavior where individuals consume food, often in large quantities, as a way to cope with or soothe negative emotions, stress, or other psychological discomfort. People may turn to comfort eating when they are feeling sad, anxious, bored, lonely, seeking temporary relief or distraction from their emotions through the pleasure or distraction provided by food. I think this might sound familiar to a lot of people. Um, I think we often don't realize how much our emotions are often driving our behaviors, and we blame the food rather than thinking, why am I behaving like this? Why do I always end up snacking in the evenings? And you blame the food, thinking, or you blame yourself for not being disciplined enough, but actually, there is a lot more to it. So, I wanted to start with the comfort eating cycle. And if we start at the top, you can see there's a stress or a trigger that might happen. So, it could be anything, or it could be something that happens gradually through the day and the stress gradually builds. But for example, it might be that the kid's bedtime has just been a horrible ordeal and you're incredibly stressed. You're exhausted at that point of the day. And you finally get to sit down on the sofa, put on the TV, and you're like, I just feel like I need something. And I know we quite often might go, we just need something. I don't know what it is, but I just need something. So you go rummaging in the cupboards or the fridge. Maybe you pour yourself a glass of wine, and you can see how you then have that real hit of dopamine, makes you feel good, really enjoying maybe that bar of chocolate, and you just get that temporary relief. It has that really self soothing impact on you. But what it can often lead to is perhaps later in the evening or the next day where you end up feeling guilty about it, or there's shame, or you're disappointed in yourself because only that morning you said, I'm not going to snack after dinner anymore, or I'm not going to eat the kids' leftover dinner. And you just feel frustrated with yourself. And this is how the cycle can just keep on going. Now, I wanted to start by thinking about whether when we comfort eat, sometimes it might be genuine hunger and it's a real physical hunger. And sometimes it's an emotional hunger and it's learning to understand what is the difference. So, a great place to start to work this out is looking at a hunger scale. And you can see from 1 to 10, one where you're absolutely starving and you're like, please feed me now, to 10, where you're like, really, really stuffed. That really uncomfortable stuffed feeling where you're like, I've eaten too much, you feel really bloated, feel quite uncomfortable. And perhaps at that 10 stage is where you question yourself, like, why have I made myself feel this full? It doesn't feel great. So when you're in that 1 to 2 area, you have to be really mindful because you can quite often overeat in at this point because you are just so hungry and you tend to grab the really calorie dense foods, things that you can grab really quickly, whether it's like more of the ultra processed snacks you might have in the cupboard. But you're like, I need food now. In that middle section, like the 4, 5, 6, 7, you tend to have more self control. You can eat in a slightly more relaxed way. You're not rushing. You give yourself the opportunity to notice when you're starting to feel full. And this is a great place to eat your meals when you're in this stage. You can start feeling a bit hungry and you're like, okay, I know if I eat now, I'm going to feel in control. I'll know when to stop. I can listen to those hunger signals, and you then are in a really great place. Now, if you're eating when actually you're already really full, the chances are that you're likely to be eating for reasons other than hunger. And we can look at this where, if we start with emotional hunger. So, emotional hunger, it can come on really suddenly. You're just like, I just need something. You will quite often just grab something. You might crave something really specific that you know always makes you feel really good. For me, it would be like a bar of Tony's chocolate. Love it. And I could quite easily keep eating one of those big bars. And the only reason I might stop is because I've actually finished it. And I know if I ate an entire bar, I might end up feeling a bit guilty. You've got that, perhaps that shame around it. And as I said earlier, it's quite often when you're searching for something, but you don't know what it is. Whereas physical hunger tends to come on gradually, like you can feel the like hunger pains, perhaps your tummy rumbles a bit. It's much more in your stomach. You're not led by emotions in the same way. You know that actually you could wait a little bit to eat. And being aware of the difference between emotional hunger and physical hunger is really important. And being curious, like when you go to eat, perhaps after dinner, going, am I actually still hungry? Did I not eat enough at dinner? Or am I just searching out something? So, how do we even go about reducing comfort eating or snacking? First of all, you need to start where you work out what your triggers are, and it's going to be different for everybody. And this is all about getting curious. And there are different tools that you can use to get curious about what's going on for you. You can use journaling, reflecting back on your day by asking questions like, what was going on for you immediately before it happened? Was it like the kids' bedtime? Was it a really stressful journey home? Was it feeling like you weren't organized for dinner and everybody's like, I'm hungry, I'm hungry? Perhaps it's something that's just gone on constantly through the day. You just started the day in a bad place and it's just escalated. Maybe your boss was being a pain. Maybe it's just a constant stress on you if like you've got a family member that's not well, or like a worry. And it can be really hard to name those emotions. But quite often we'll feel those emotions like it's a craving. Right, on to the next one. So, as I said, it is really important to get curious. Um, and with curiosity, you can bring awareness. So, if perhaps like on an evening, you're like, I really want to go and have some chocolate, you don't have to say, okay, I'm not doing that now. And I'm just going to rely on my willpower. You can start thinking about what is going on for you at that time. Think about being really mindful in the moment. Allow yourself to pause. You can bring in deep breathing exercises. All of these things are really going to bring awareness to the moment, because quite often when we eat in the evenings, we are on autopilot. We are just like rummaging through the cupboards. We're not thinking. And what can be really helpful is to just bring in that mindfulness and awareness, like, okay, I'm going to the cupboard now. Do I even want this? Is this what I want to do? Why am I doing it? Really bring that awareness and curiosity. And with that awareness and curiosity, you can just start to discover what you actually need, because there's always a need underlying it. And a really great tool to use is this emotion wheel. And this is going to help you start naming those emotions. And I'm going to put a big copy of this wheel in the group so that you can see it, because it's quite small on this picture. But you will realize just how many different emotions there are out there. We think about it as happy, sad, angry, whereas actually it might be I'm agitated, I'm frustrated. There's loads of different underlying emotions. And when you can identify the emotions, you can ask, what do I actually really need? So I might feel really bored. No amount of snacks is going to actually take away that boredom, is it? But actually, do I want to do something more fulfilling with this time? Is that what's going to really fill my cup up? Do I actually need to phone a friend right now because I'm feeling quite lonely and I'm just eating my way through this snacks? Do I need to ask somebody else to start helping me a bit more so that I don't feel so stressed? What do I really need? And once you can start to identify how you feel, what you need, you can start to break the relationship with food as being your only tool to make yourself feel better. Quite often we use food like it's a plaster, um, and we're nervous about really identifying what's going on. Right. The next bit is thinking about having a plan. This is what I sort of call the what if like scenario. So when I next experience a craving, what am I going to do? What's going to be like my plan B instead of just going straight to the cupboard? Is it that I'm going to go for a walk? Am I going to check in with myself and think about where am I really feeling this craving? Do I need to distract myself? Do I need to have a chat with someone? Do I need to go and do something completely different that's going to distract me, like do the ironing or put the clothes away, whatever, that's something that stops that autopilot from happening? It's great to literally make a list and have it perhaps on the fridge and like go, okay, these are my other options, the things I can do, try and distract myself for a little while. And by doing that, we are then introducing a pause to what's going on. This pause is absolutely key to bringing awareness to the situation, because we've now brought in that conscious awareness and we're not going on that autopilot that I've been talking about. And it allows us to actually stop the behavior in its tracks. Now, another great strategy that has been looked at is called surfing the urge. And what I think about this particular tool, what's really helpful with it is that I think it can be quite empowering to know that your craving and your urge for something is going to increase for a certain amount of time, and they say about 30 minutes, and then it will fall off. Realizing that the craving isn't going to go up and up and up and be more and more challenging to get through, I think is quite empowering. So you can literally like set a timer and you'll realize that it falls off a cliff and the craving and urge completely lessens and fades away. But what I particularly want to say, and it's something I say to all my clients, is that you always have unconditional permission to eat. But if you give in to every single craving, you are unlikely to reach your goals. I mean, we know that, don't we? If every time we wanted some chocolate or we wanted some snacks or whatever, if every time we did that, we wouldn't reach our goals. And that's what's really frustrating. Um, But for me, I normally say to clients, if you still have that craving at the end of the 30 minutes, then go ahead, eat the snack that you wanted to eat. But so often they come back and go, actually, it wasn't there anymore, and I was fine. So this is talking you through how you actually practically put that into action. So you can have a read through that. It's really simple. The next thing I want to talk about was your environment. We forget how challenging our environment is, both out and about, and how difficult it might be at home. Especially if you've got children, there is a high chance there are snacks in your house. I mean, I know for me, the kids like coming out of school, they're like, snacks, snacks. So we've got them in the house. And if I had to rely on willpower all the time, my life would just be endlessly challenging. So I tend to have the snacks are in like a box, 2 or 3 like levels up in the cupboard. So if I open that cupboard up, I'm not directly looking at them all the time. And I'll always make sure there's some prepared food that I know I can just grab, like whether it's some fruit chopped up. I'll always have some like cucumber and carrots with some hummus. Um, I make it easy to make decisions for myself that align with my goals, particularly late in the day when you're experiencing decision making fatigue, makes it even more challenging. So, really make your environment work for you. I can't tell you what a difference it makes to the clients and mums that I work with when they are organized for themselves as well as everybody else. I think we forget how much we do for everybody else and we forget about our own needs. So I really would love it if everybody spent a little bit of time over the weekend getting their fridge organized, getting their cupboards all organized, making sure your environment really, really works for you. Right, lifestyle adjustments. So, as we know, emotions are going to be driven by everything that's going on through your day. So, this encompasses all areas of your life, starting with sleep. Trying to focus on getting that 7 to 8 hours a night is absolutely key. It's going to manage your hormones better. It means that when you're really sleep deprived, you've got 2 hormones, one called ghrelin, which is activated when you're hungry, and one called leptin, which is activated when you're starting to feel full. But when you're really sleep deprived, what happens is your ghrelin increases, so you are hungrier through the day, and your leptin decreases. So when you do eat, you still don't feel as full. So you're hit twice. So I can't tell you how important sleep is and making it a priority, not doom scrolling into the evening. I know I've been guilty of that. I will now have do not go on at 7 p.m. and this makes such a difference. I notice it straight away the days where I've not had a good night's sleep. Trying to reduce stress in your day. I know this can be really challenging, particularly when things aren't within your control. Those mindfulness tools can really help with that. Um, Managing hunger, we're going to talk about that more in here. Choosing really nutrient dense choices. I think quite often we think we need to restrict more, but actually making your meals really high in volume. So adding in those leafy veggies, loads of green veg, loads of berries and Greek yogurt, things like that, that are really nutrient dense, going to fill your stomach up, and then you're not going to have the same desire to snack. Including protein with all your meals. I know you get bored, everybody gets bored of people say you must include more protein, but it is the most satiating macro. It's really low in calories compared to like fats. And it will make such a difference if you start to make sure your meals are based around the protein. So whether it's chicken or fish or veggie sources of protein like quinoa, this can really make a difference to keeping yourself full, not feeling like you're having to fight hunger all day. Next up, movement outside every day. So we're obviously doing a step challenge as part of this. Getting outside, getting that sun on you, that's going to help with your sleep. It's going to help with your mental well-being, your physical well-being. It's a really easy calorie burner rather than having to get to a gym, and it doesn't increase hunger. So this is why I've included snacks and steps together, because these are two game-changing things. If you are able to control your snacks and up your steps, I mean, they're like a power combination. And connection, look to others to support you. Make sure other people know what you're up to. This is your goal for the next 21 days. Let's have everybody on board, have the family on board. Let's make sure that the snacks that are in the house are really healthy snacks. For me, this isn't a snack challenge of saying you can't ever eat a snack, but I want it to be like planned. I want it to be mindful. I want it to be nutrient dense so that you come away from these 21 days feeling amazing. And finally, mindful eating. There's a lot of talk around mindful eating. It's actually a tool that's used. People think it's used for weight loss, but actually it's not. It wasn't designed for that. It was designed to really bring awareness to what you're eating. So not eating in front of TV screens, not looking at your phone. I'm sure there's times, and I'm definitely guilty of it, where I've eaten a meal and I've got to the end and I'm almost like, oh, I can't believe my plate's finished. I've just not taken it in at all. So give yourself the opportunity to really focus in on your internal cues, your external cues. It will make you really lean into those hunger signals. I think it's super important, and it's something I know I'm sure we could all work on more. Take that opportunity to connect with family, have a chat at the dinner table. But what do we do after an emotional eating episode? I think this is really important. We need to make space for those emotions rather than just trying to suppress them. For me, every time something like that happens, this is an opportunity to learn about yourself, learn about what's led up to that point, and the absolute key is not to be self-critical and judgmental. This isn't going to help you, and it's really easy to slip into that cycle of talking really horribly to yourself. I'm sure the language that you use to yourself, you would never say to your friend or your child. You would be so much more understanding. Like, if we can practice self-compassion and remind ourselves that we're human, we make mistakes, that's okay. But take the opportunity to get curious and reflect and learn, because that is where the magic happens. When you keep learning, that is going to be what makes a difference to your long-term health. So do put in any questions underneath this that you have. I hope it was really helpful. I just wanted to give a really clear overline of comfort eating, understanding the different tools that you can use to help support you. If there's any that you're not sure about, you don't quite understand, then ask questions. I really, really want to help you as much as possible. And I will chat to you later. Bye.